invited on the air to tell us what makes your business stand out in the community. It's important we hear from you to tell us all we need to know about what you do best. Tell us your business uses the latest radio and television production systems, and all shows can be seen on amp2.tv. If you have a question for our guest, call 888-565-1470. Now, let's get ready as our guest hits the airwaves and informs us about what we need to know on Tell Us Your Business.
Hey, welcome to Tell Us Your Biz. I'm Teddy.
I'm Kelsey.
And today we want to talk about whammon in business. Woohoo man.
Yeah, as my boyfriend calls us, woohoo man, the better, more fun version of a man.
And as everyone on the internet calls it, just whammon.
Whammon.
The whammon in business. How fun.
Well, and it is something maybe I'm just looking for it more because I'm more conscious of it, but I feel like I've been seeing it more in the news about women in business, how to get started, how to build your career and know what to ask for.
It's finally recognized that, women, they do things, they have ideas, can start business, but it's hard a lot of the time. And, I've worked in offices, I've worked in almost in every industry you can as an entry level, and, all the little nuances that you never learn are difficult.
What's been your favorite so far?
Favorite job?
Yeah.
Besides radio, I work at an Axe bar right now, and I really love that, and I really loved working at a preschool.
I never knew that.
I did. I worked as a counselor/teacher for a private preschool for 4 years.
Very nice.
Yeah, and that was really fun because the only thing I had to answer to couldn't talk, didn't have teeth. I was like, oh, perfect.
So that's the skill to working in business, find people that can't talk back.
Can't talk back. How you gonna boss me around? You don't got teeth. I changed your diaper. Perfect.
Well, that is something about being a woman in business that you hear a lot about, the difference between being a boss versus being bossy.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like there's a difference, or do you feel like that's just something we get called bossy because we're women, even though we're acting like a boss, as a man would be called?
I think both. I think that if you are acting like a boss and like a normal human being who's I'm in charge of you, I'm telling you what to do, this is my job, then there are going to be people who say you're bossy because they're booty hurt. They're not happy. But I think there also is a difference between being a boss and being bossy. Because there are people who, oh, well, you didn't give me this project because I'm a woman. It's well, no, I didn't give you the project because you're not in this area and you have no qualification for it. And I think that's being bossy versus a woman who's a boss saying, I have all the qualifications for this. I have better, portfolio than this person. Why didn't I get the project?
So it's the difference between being whiny and being methodical.
Yes. I think you can complain about things in a less whiny way. You don't have to always blame it on, oh, you don't do this because I'm a woman. Because there are times that you won't get things because you're a woman, but not all the time, in my opinion.
There you go.
Call in. Sue me.
Well, let's not do that.
Don't sue me, but call in and yell at me. I love that. Come disagree with me.
We would like opinions called in, perhaps a male opinion. We're talking about women in business, the difference between being a man versus being a woman in business. If we have any men listening that want to voice their opinion, tell us if you agree with us or not. It's interesting to have that feedback and that talk back.
Yeah, the number is 888-565-1470. Call in, disagree with us, be our male opinion. I tried to get one male opinion in, and he said, no, that's dangerous territory. And I was like, you're right.
So how about this? We were discussing earlier dress code, wardrobe.
Yeah.
Because as you were saying, sometimes women use what they have to their advantage. Yeah. And you can see that in dress. There's such a thing as inappropriate work clothes.
Well, sometimes you walk into an office and you see, everyone's very casual. They're in jeans and a t-shirt. You walk in, the guys are wearing, khaki shorts. My boyfriend every day to work wears khaki cargo shorts and just a workout top, very whatever. Meanwhile, I walked in there when I'm wearing now a t-shirt and just shorts, you'd be like, oh, well, that's inappropriate for the workplace. I'm like, but why? You're wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Or like, guys walk in with those basketball jerseys that, go down to here. And
that's a very casual workplace.
I know offices that they'll let you go in there.
Wow.
Yeah, like basketball shorts and a jersey. I'm like, yeah, but if I walked in there in a jersey, it'd be inappropriate. Because like, oh, well, you're a woman, you're trying to sexualize it. Like, no, I like the Giants. Thank you.
You're sexualizing it by looking at me a certain way.
And then there are offices that will tell you, oh, you have to dress up. So you dress up. How do you dress up? In an office as a woman, you're wearing slacks. They're fitted. You're wearing, maybe a blazer, maybe a blouse, maybe a button-up shirt that happens to be fitted. Sexualized. Everything. So where do you win?
Well, and you were discussing earlier, too, it kind of goes back to schools. How school dress codes are very, very specific and kind of geared towards the boys. Where they can get away with more, even to the point that, we've seen in the news a bra strap is exposed, and they're so much English words
Hard. Wow.
Some of them get expelled for that.
Yeah.
Or suspended for talking back, saying, how is this inappropriate?
Yeah. There are schools that you can read their dress codes if you show your collarbone, if your shirt strap is less than 2 inches. And there's a lot of really scaled ones, even not towards men, just towards different girls. Sometimes shorter girls. Some girls have shorter arms than others, just genetics. If I stood up and I put my, do the fingertip rule, put my arms to my legs, it's about mid-thigh, a little, farther down the mid-thigh. I have a friend who's almost my height, but she has shorter arms. Her arms are like right about below where my shorts hit right now. I'm not wearing very long shorts. So, it's not fair. You can't do something objective like that. And there's a lot of them that say, oh, well, all skirts have to be appropriately length. Well, who decides that? Does the principal decide that? Is that not now sexualizing a middle schooler, saying, well, your skirt is inappropriate? And then you see all those schools who will make you, oh, it has to be knee length, meaning, and I've seen them do this at my old school, they will make you kneel on the floor and like sit up and kneel on the floor, and if your skirt touches the floor, it's okay.
That is ridiculous.
And is that not the most degrading thing you've ever felt in the middle of an office? Your principal is there, all the office workers, your nurse, maybe some other kids. You have to kneel on the floor to see if your skirt is appropriate at like 13.
That is ridiculous.
Like, that makes me so mad. Now, whereas I can see guys' entire underwear.
Is that, and I was just going to ask, is that true then? Did the guys have to wear, long
they were
slacks?
Supposed to, but, if a girl is wearing a shirt that's a little too short or shorts that are a little too long, they wouldn't be told, like, hey, tomorrow don't wear that, pull your shorts down a little bit. They'd be told, go to the principal's office. But if a guy is wearing pants and they're saggy and I can see their underwear and they're wearing basketball shorts, they're just told, hey, pull up your pants. Like, why is that fair? You can just pull up your pants. You're not being sent to the principal's office. You're not being taken out of class. You're not. Now I'm missing classwork because I used to be in the principal's office. I fought with the teacher once, and I got in a lot of trouble for it because I wore a shirt that it wasn't a crop top. It met where my pants were. Teacher sent me out of an exam, sent me out of the office. My mom can call in. She knows this. I got sent out in the middle of an exam to the principal's office. Principal said, that shirt is in dress code. You're fine. Went back to my exam, was not allowed to enter in. Teacher said, I don't believe you, you're lying to me, go back to the principal's office. And I had to go there and have my principal walk me back to my class to tell my teacher her shirt is fine. I missed the entire exam.
And did they allow you to finish your exam?
Yeah, I had to make it up after school, but like, why should I have had to do that?
Was the teacher a male or a female?
She was a female.
Wow.
Yeah. Some teachers, if you have a very ambiguous dress code, like no crop tops, well, I guess it was a crop top because it didn't go all the way to my hips, but it went over where my pants were.
But at some point, too, you would hope that your teachers know better. That even if it is a little ambiguous, they can weigh the situation and say, all right, I should probably question this student's dress code, but at the same time, it's the middle of an exam. Like, that can wait.
And what about women who, poor or very lucky, depending on how you look at it, girls who develop faster in school? The girls who are a little more, gifted in the top area. I don't know much about that, but I knew a lot of friends who they would wear this exact shirt that I wore, just a general shirt, maybe a little bit of a V-neck, and because they were more gifted in that area, it looked so much more inappropriate on them. They're being sent to the principal's office. Well, why do they now have to go out and buy special clothes when they're wearing the exact same shirt that I am and I'm fine?
So now we fast forward to the professional world where you still start to see remnants of that. When is enough enough? How long do you put up with it? You know, in the interest of your job before you address it, perhaps going to a boss or going to look for another job. Is, you know, when is enough enough? Because sometimes it's difficult to decide, listen, I want to get ahead. I can hold out for another few months, when every day you dread getting up and going to work.
Yeah, it's hard. I just went through that. I just quit one of my jobs because it wasn't because of a dress code. It was because of an issue with a manager. But yeah, that happens.
And that's even, you know,
it's
even worse.
bad.
Depending, when the person you have to answer to is the one that's making your life difficult at work.
Yeah. For me personally, it was, I had a manager who I had told them, hey, in the future, I'm going to have to change my availability because I was getting another job. And I was like, hey, just like in the future, not yet, I'm going to have to change my availability. She took it as, I'm going to take you off availability. You don't work for 3 weeks. And when I asked her about it, she's like, oh, well, you asked off. And I was like, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. For 3 weeks, I didn't get to work. Until finally she was like, oh, I took you off availability. And I was like, oh, and then you lied to me for 3 weeks. Oh, well, I forgot I did it. And at that point, I was like, okay, well, are you going to put me back on? Because we're still in the process of these weeks. Like, you can still schedule me back in. No, you'll be scheduled after that. And that was my point of, like, enough. Like, I've lost now 3 weeks worth of income because of this. But then you're right. How do you ask yourself, you know, because I put up with a lot of stuff before that from this manager that I was just like, I'd rather just keep my job.
Well, and I guess the difference with that might also be that, I mean, losing a full paycheck, enough is enough.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's not something that you were necessarily interested in doing for the rest of your life.
That's true. It wasn't that hard of a thing to let go of.
So let's say it's a radio station then.
Yeah.
You become employed.
Our radio station would never do that because
No,
we
they
love
wouldn't.
Dawn and Freddie.
But let's say you become employed with radio station X.
Yeah.
And it's something you definitely want to do with the rest of your life. And something similar like that happens.
It's hard. It's hard to know when to say enough. You have to think about, you know, well, is this an HR problem that, you know, if it's something like the dress code and you're getting, you know, inappropriate comments or, you know, people are acting inappropriately, do I have to go to HR for this? Or, oh, is this an issue that I have to go higher above for this? Or, oh, is this just a personal issue? How long can you last? I think it really is unfair. It's unfair that you have to make that judgment. It's unfair that people who are more patient, which is supposed to be a virtue, are now getting tortured more because they're just like, well, I can put up with this. I can put up with this. You shouldn't have to. But what can you do?
And sometimes, you know, being nice about it can hurt you in the end. I was at a position where, you know, smile and go along to get along. Mm-hmm. And I was potentially passed up for discussions in a new job opportunity because they felt I would be too nice to handle it.
But then if you weren't too nice, if you were bossy,
then the flip side of
bossy.
that is I would have been too bossy to handle it. So at what point do you walk that line? Yeah.
I have a friend who's at the job that I had quit, and he made it up to what we call a shift supervisor, key holder, whatever you want to call it. And he's very by the books, very much, because it was a food service job, so you have to be very clean, very by the books. You have to be very strict with people's allergies, with people's dietary restrictions.
Which is very good to hear.
Yeah. Oh, he's really strict about it. He's really good at it. But a lot of people at the store, you know, it's a minimum wage job. They don't want to do that. They don't want to remake an entire drink because, oh, I accidentally, you know, used regular instead of decaf, even though that can seriously hurt someone. Oh, I don't want to remake my entire thing of lemonade because a little bit of milk got in it, even though people are allergic to dairy and can really hurt them. And so he almost just got passed up on this promotion because they were saying, oh, well, he brings a negative attitude. He criticizes too much. He's too bossy. And I'm like, well, but he needs to be. He's following our standards. Just because you're all too lazy to do it doesn't mean that he should be passed up.
And that's interesting to hear, too, that it's a man who is being called bossy.
Well,
because you never, this is personal experience, but I feel like I never hear that from the professional men in my life.
His is a special. So he is transgender. So, male now. And we think that whether we go into that conversation or not, that is another topic that people are discriminated against. And I don't think this was
a case of
that. I think it was just discrimination against him specifically, which is a whole nother topic that I'm not going to do because I'm not throwing that old employment place under the bus yet. But yeah, it was really interesting. And I was thinking, because we do have other shift managers, supervisor, whatevers, that were just as picky as he was, that were also men, that got their promotions fine. So maybe, is it a term of that he's transgender? Is it that,
there's still that stigma there.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that he's picky about being, by the books, though.
Yeah.
That's really good to hear in the food service industry.
And it's hilarious because people will come by and be like, oh, well, you made this wrong. And people are like, oh, you made it wrong. Yeah, make fun of them. Like, no, you gave them normal espresso when they ask for decaf. You can give someone a heart attack. You can send someone to the hospital for that. That's not you made a mistake. Making a mistake is, oh, you asked for a vanilla and I gave you caramel. I'm so sorry. Making a mistake is not, you asked for soy milk and I gave you regular milk, because that can really hurt someone. I remember years ago, well, never mind. I'm not getting into that. I'm not throwing them under the bus.
No. All right, well.
But it's a really serious topic that you have to think about of who's discriminating. Is it an HR situation? Do you feel uncomfortable in your, dress because, oh, I'm getting inappropriate comments? Or do you feel uncomfortable because everyone else is dressing super casual and you actually want to look nice?
I feel like that's not too bad, though. If you want to dress up.
No, you'll get to. I've worked in an office where everyone else, again, wearing cargo shorts. It was an office full of men. I was one of two girls. And I never got, they were very nice. They didn't really care about what I wore. I just liked to dress up because I want to look professional. Unlike now, if you're watching me on Facebook, hi, Friday the 13th.
I like the shirt, by the way.
Thank you. But I like to dress up. I liked to wear jewelry and to wear a nice shirt and to wear heels. And they'd be like, oh, Tenny, do you have a meeting today? And I'm like, no, I just feel like looking nice for once. But maybe everyone else dresses fancy and you don't have to, and you want to dress down. Maybe you don't have the money to wear, maybe you work in a really high-class office. You don't have the money to get Louis Vuitton bags and Gucci and Chanel and all that. Do you think you're discriminated against like that?
Money-wise, most definitely. Because sometimes it's true, you can't afford a new wardrobe, or you can't afford, if everybody's, say you have an office party and there's going to be a new dress for that. It's a themed whatever. Mm-hmm. Wear a certain color. My mom had an office party the other day where, to promote company
morale.
Morale or unity, you all wore a certain color. Well, let's say somebody in your office can't afford to go out and buy something like that, or it's going to be for a company picture and you can't afford to go out and get something where you'll match your whole company. And then not only do you feel left out in that regard, but then you're faced with the option of you show up and you stand out, and it becomes apparent that
either you didn't get the memo, or
they could say you don't have the money. They could say you were lazy and didn't go out, or you skip entirely and then you're missing out on that company opportunity. So most definitely.
And there's a whole bunch of I can't even think of the word, like groups.
English is hard. English is
so hard. English is my first language and also my worst language. I only speak one language. But, there's a whole bunch of groups that will go out and they'll be like, oh, well, this is our pastel brunch. Everyone wears pastel. I don't have money for Lily Pulitzer. And I don't have the time to go to Ross and search through every, piece of pastel dress to find a nice dress that fits me. That's my price range. That's considered pastel. That isn't a pastel purple potato sack. And that's hard. Or when I was in a sorority in college, during certain nights, you'd have to all wear red. Well, I was a college student. I don't have money to go out and buy a red dress. And then you also have to wear white on this day. Recruitment, you had to wear all these outfits. I remember having to borrow hundreds of dollars from my parents to buy these outfits to fit in.
But is that different than, because sorority, and it's the same concept that applies, but sorority is something.
Oh, that's much more strict, yeah.
But sorority is also something that you do as an extra versus a job where you're making a living? Or do you feel for university students that perhaps sorority is a way to acclimate and gain friends, and it's something necessary in that regard?
I cannot talk for everyone. I can't talk for anyone but myself. I can say that for me, being in a sorority was the only option. I went to a school, I only knew 2 people in it, and one of the 2 people was going into a sorority. And at that point, I was like, I'm either going to lose this friend, not because sorority people won't be friends with they're called Greeks, like non-Greeks, but because it takes up so much time. All of my time was taken up by my sorority with all the philanthropy events and the charities and the meetings. And I was like, I know that I'm never going to talk to my best friend if I don't join the sorority with her. And also, I was a psych major when I first started. I graduated as a theater major. I was a psych major. Those are big classes. You don't make friends very easily in those big lecture classes. I felt I didn't have a choice, and I felt it was awesome. It does help me get ahead in business. There are people who I've met who are in big business who are like, hey, I am also in said sorority. You know, I'll wear my hat. And they're like, cool. And you have this whole big connection. So if you're working in an industry like entertainment, it does really help. But you're right. It's not fully what it is in the workplace.
Because that's interesting what you said, too, though, about it being that you needed that connection with somebody going in. Because it's very much a lot of students feel isolated when they start going to university, and having that friend helps keep you up, keep your spirits up, because mental health does become an issue
and it
for
follows you out of school.
University students, most definitely.
It follows you. You're in school. It starts in high school, I think, middle school even now with younger generations, because you have so much put on you. You have so much stress put on you. So then you start to get depressed. Not saying you have depression, but you start to get depressed. It's an emotion, not just a mental illness. Look it up. I actually had someone fight with me about that. You get depressed.
Wait, I want to hear that story. What did they...
I was like, oh, I just feel kind of depressed. Again, like the emotion. Like I was just like sad or angry about something. And she goes, well, you can't just be depressed. And I was like, what do you mean? It's an emotion. And she's like, no, like it's a mental illness. I was like, well, yes, but it's also an emotion. The mental illness is named because of the emotion. Depression is... you know, it's also a feeling. You can just be depressed without having depression. It was a whole fight. I was just like, I will get out my psych textbook.
Did you win?
Cite it, yeah.
There you
I
go.
pulled up my psych textbook online and I cited it.
When that first major comes in handy.
Yeah. But, you know, you're depressed in school. You're depressed in middle school. And then when you go to high school, you have even more stress put on you. And then you start to feel like it's your fault that you're falling behind. Depression climbs. Again, emotion. The other one's a mental illness with chemicals. I'm just putting that out there. Don't call and yell at me about that one. Call and yell at me about everything else. And then you get to college, and now all of a sudden you feel free. You're like, oh, I can do whatever I want, but you can't. Because now there's even more work. Because now if you mess up, it's fully your fault. So now even more pressure. And for me, again, being in a sorority really did help me. But even if you're in one and it helps, or if you're not in one, you then go to work. And again, you're like, oh, I'm free. I'm out of college. Or if you don't go to college, I'm out of high school. I can do whatever I want. I got a job. I can choose things. No, you can't. So now the stress climbs more, and it just gets to a peaking point of you need someone to help you. And you're not taught these things. I was never taught how to write a 2-week notice. I was never taught how to ask for a raise, how to, you know, quit a job, how to, like we were talking about, talk to HR.
How to ask for vacation. And
yeah. I
how
just
to
had to
plan
do that.
for that. That's something where you're talking, the stress builds up. Sometimes it builds up. It does build up for people from middle school. I remember being in middle school. That was when they had me take my first career aptitude test.
Really?
That was my first career aptitude test, and you had to pick a college major in middle school, because if you went to a certain high school, their classes were going to be geared towards that major you picked versus what the aptitude test said you'd be capable of in middle school.
Oh, I do actually remember that, because my high school had academies I had to go to get into the specific school I wanted. I had to go into biotech. I'm a theater major, and I took biotechnology for 4 years.
Sounds like you're well-rounded now, though.
Yeah, I'm the only costume designer.
Biotech, theater.
I'm a costume designer who can sequence your DNA. Fight me.
That's actually pretty cool.
No, I can't remember how to do it. But I could at the time. I could CIA the heck out of it. But no, you're right. It is one of those things that, yeah, I do remember taking career aptitude tests, and You have to choose your high school, you have to choose the academies.
So now it builds up from middle school, and you're in the professional world dealing with mounting pressure because now it's not just homework, it's bills.
And you've never learned how to deal with it because school doesn't teach you self-care or how to deal with things. So
that's what
do
I
you
wish
do?
we were taught in school. I wish we could have opted out of one of those math classes and taken like a how to live your life class. Like, teach me how to do taxes. Teach me how to
Yeah.
balance a checkbook.
Oh, God forbid my dad ever stops doing my taxes. I'm boned. I don't know how to do taxes. I don't know how to talk to my accountant. I'm boned.
I really would like to learn, though. I'll never be good at it, but it's something that,
It's
gives
something you should know.
it's something that gives you a sense of pride. I feel like that might be something that helps millennials
Yeah.
feel like we're a little bit more in control of our lives.
Yeah, and I feel like we need control. And I know that there are private schools in Miami because I've met one of the teachers who teach like yoga classes, and you have to take at least one yoga class each semester, or one
That's
self-help
nice.
class.
That's
Yeah.
so nice.
But our time is coming to an end, unfortunately, with our real fun talk. Call in, text me, yell at me. It's super fun. But thank you guys so much for listening to us. I'm Teddy.
I'm Kelsey. Thanks for tuning in to Tell Us Your Biz.
We'll see you next week.
This has been Tell Us Your Business, where a special guest comes on every week and tells us what they do. All shows can be seen on amp2.tv, and if you wish to be a guest, call 866-224-5422 and tell us about your business. That's 866-224-5422. This has been an amp2.tv production.